Hello and welcome to World Cup Fact File Group G. It was supposed to be Mr. Tall, Brenton Hagan, taking us through this group, but he's off on his holidays in sunny Italy, and we didn't really think it was right to try and make him do a video while he's on holidays. So you keep enjoying yourself out there, Brent, eating all the food you can and soaking up some of those Italian rays. And Brent will be back next week to take us through the live action of the World Cup. But as I said, Phil here taking us through Group G, which has Belgium, Panama, Tunisia, and of course England. I'll start off with Panama. Second biggest team, smallest nation in the World Cup. Nearly got that out there. It's their first time qualifying for it as well, so they'll be going to the World Cup. Just no matter what happens, they're there for a party and have an absolute buzz. Brilliant to see it. Countries like this here going to it. It's sort of what makes the World Cup really special. Now, Panama aren't really fancied by anyone to do anything greatly football-wise at the World Cup, apart from enjoy themselves. But Iceland showed at the Euros 2016, and they were the smallest nation there, that anything can happen. They managed to get themselves through to a quarter-final, where obviously they faced France, but they put England out on their way to that. And would you believe, Panama face England in the group stages. One of their key players is Roman Torres. I have it down here in my little notebook, in case you wonder why I'm looking down. He actually plays for Seattle Sounders in the MLS. He sort of gained more notoriety, is that the right word? People started to notice him more this week because he was asked by a journalist, what did he make of being the heaviest player at this year's World Cup? To which he replied by pulling his top up and showing that he's absolutely stacked to pieces. And there's no fat about him, it's just all pure muscle. He's also the hero of Panama. He scored the goal that got them to the World Cup. He's a centre half, but he managed to maraud forward. And like his namesake, Torres was 3 on goal and smashed it home, which El Nino from Spain and Liverpool, Athletic Madrid, Chelsea, to name it a few, would have been very, very proud of. It caused absolute scenes in Panama. The whole place went wild, and so they should. They're qualifying for the first World Cup. They aren't fancied by anyone, but I really hope they give a good account of themselves and enjoy themselves because it's their first time here, and hopefully they're back again in 4 years' time. You never know, they could do something like Iceland did. The World Cup's mental. Another team in this group is Tunisia. Again, they're not really fancied by anyone to come out of this group because the two bigger teams are sort of seen as too strong for Tunisia and Panama. They are actually coming into this group ranked as the highest African team. They didn't lose a single game in qualifying. Pardon me. They have Wabi Kazri. For Sunderland fans will sort of know him. Not sure if they'll be too pleased about him or too happy with him. He was on loan at Rennes again this year. When Sunderland went down, he decided to get out of there. He had a decent season at Rennes, and he sort of converted into a striker. He is deadly at set pieces, so he could cause all three teams, and certainly Belgium and England, who look to be fancied to go through this group pretty comfortably, he could cause them some problems. They kick off their first game of the tournament against England on the 18th of June, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. He'll certainly, to any success that Tunisia have, he will certainly play a key role in it. As I said, they didn't lose a single game in the group in the qualifying, and everybody knows that the African qualifying is one of the tougher ones, so they come into it with a little bit of form maybe. But again, they're not really fancied because of Belgium and England. I think they'll run England close. I do think Belgium will win this group, so the first game is massive for both teams, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tunisia managed to sneak a draw there. England, I'll talk about them because I think they're going to come second in this group. It's a weird England team this time. It's not one that, well, unless you're politically inclined to hate them, it's not one that you can sort of hate or detest because of the players. It's a younger squad. It's a squad that's actually quite likeable. You don't have to like, obviously, if you don't English fans or whatever the country. I'm not going to get into that. I couldn't really care less. It's the World Cup. It's all about the sport. Just to say, they're one of the teams, one of the English teams that are more likeable, and they're quite a young squad. They have players like Sterling and Dele Alli and Harry Kane, who can cause serious problems. Jamie Vardy as well, Marcus Rashford, Jesse Lingard has shown at United this year, he's had one of his best seasons at United, that he can score goals from out wide. So they're decent going forward. I think this England team are actually going into it very underrated. I do think they'll come second in this group. They sort of start tournaments a little bit slow, and as I said, they're playing Tunisia first. That'll be a tight game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they drew that game, which will cost them to win the group later on. The only thing is for England and Belgium, and I'll talk about Belgium in a minute, potentially your quarter-finalists are going to be either Brazil or Germany, so it's going to be tough. But with Harry Kane up front, I think England really do have one of the world-class strikers in world football at the minute. Raheem Sterling's in the form of his life. He's a brilliant season at Man City. As usual, English media have picked on him, and we all know why. And actually, because of that there, and despite me being a Liverpool fan, I really hope he has an absolute outstanding World Cup. I'd love him to be one of the stars of the World Cup. His talent is massive. The same with Marcus Rashford. There was talk this morning, this is Tuesday, that he might have picked up a slight injury in training before they headed out. I hope that's not true. I'd love to see Rashford given a chance to start for England, possibly. That pace and the skill that he can show sometimes is devastating. Alright, he might have had an amazing season with Manchester United. He still is only 20 years of age, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Jamie Vardy as well, playing on his first World Cup after what he's been doing with Leicester the last couple of seasons. Teams will fear him if he's on, if he starts, or if he comes off the bench because of his pace and how deadly he can be in front of goal. The back and the defence would be probably the issue for England. Their midfield doesn't have great creativity. I don't think Adam Lallana did travel in the end. He is on reserve list, so if somebody gets injured. And Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's obviously injured. Jack Wilshere didn't have an amazing season, so he's sort of gone out of form. But I think they can make up that with what they've gone forward, and I just would worry more about the defence. Gary Cahill hasn't had his best season at Chelsea. John Stones as well at Man City, still question marks over him. I think he's obviously a fantastic talent. He just seems to sometimes lose concentration. Be interesting to see if they do go with the three in there and fire Kyle Walker in there with Cahill and possibly Stones or Phil Jones, or they move Eric Dyer back. But I think England can certainly get to a quarter-final. That should be minimum for them, I think. And you never know, if they have one big performance in the World Cup and it is a quarter-final against Brazil or Germany, you never know, they could end up themselves in a semi-final. That'll be an absolute outstanding achievement. Likewise with Belgium have sort of roles reversed with England. Belgium have come into it the way England did the last 10 years or whatever, with the golden generation. A lot of the Belgian public and media are expecting this team to sort of kick on now and really produce the goods. As we all know, they were knocked out in the Euros by Wales when they were one of the fancy teams there to go on and do something. This time they're a little bit more mature. They have Kevin De Bruyne has tasted success now with Man City, and he had an outstanding season. Romelu Lukaku's got his big move. He's back into a big club, and he's at Manchester United now. Again, Lukaku, I think, sort of gets a wee bit unfair treatment, sort of seen as a bit of a cart horse or something. Sometimes he gets labelled or doesn't really do enough, but his goal record is outstanding this year. I think he's nearly on 30 goals. He scored 2 last night, 2 maybe 3 against Costa Rica. No, it's 2. And again, if he gets a service, which he's going to get with Kevin De Bruyne and obviously Eden Hazard, then he's going to score goals. They have Dries Mertens as well to pick from. Yannick Carrasco, although I think Martinez for some reason is playing him at fullback at the minute. I'm not really too sure about that. Michy Batshuayi come off the bench. In midfield they've got Axel Witsel. As I said, De Bruyne and Hazard can float in there. The Thomas Meunier to pick from the back from PSG. Alderweireld, Vertonghen if Company's fit, and if Courtois in nets. A really, really strong Belgium team. I fancy them to win this group. And where they'll play either Colombia or Senegal in the second round to go off and play possibly Brazil, which will be an outstanding game in the World Cup, and I think one that we can all look forward to. I think they'll win this group. I think they'll probably win 2 and draw 1. That could be the England game that they draw at the end. Certainly if they win their first 2 games, they're going to be able to sort of rest a few and get through with a draw. I really do hope that this Belgium team does something special this World Cup, because they have been sort of seen now as a team that's supposed to be coming through. You can sort of sense a little bit of pressure coming off them. So just for them, I'd love to see them do quite well. Don't think they have it in them to win it. You never know. Nobody predicted Portugal to win the Euros or Greece in 2004. But they certainly have players that can do quite well in this tournament. And as I said on our live show on Thursday night, the other night, I think that Lukaku will be this year's the World Cup's top goal scorer. Thanks for watching. Check out all our videos on YouTube. You should see during this video a link coming up to subscribe, and also another link to show one of our latest videos. Go and check them all out. We've done every group, and we did our live show the other night, as I said, on Facebook. I'll be back tomorrow to do Group H, and then the World Cup starts on Thursday. Only 2 more sleeps, folks. Can't wait.